It is hot and heavy and steamy in the New York area about Barkley and overall what he means to that team and how long overall Barkley could potentially miss or sit out this year. I've heard everything so far. I mean, and all you have to do is tune into like New York media for a second. You're going to hear just every single possible take. And that is, I mean, it's from everything I've heard so far, there's a very good chance Saquon Barkley is going to miss week 1. At least that far. And then beyond that, like how far is he willing to sit out for the Giants? Is he willing to go, a handful of games? Is he willing to pull a LeVeon Bell, which to me would be a catastrophe, right? It'd be a gigantic mistake for him if he would do that. But Le'Veon Bell got the franchise tag a couple of years in a row, and then eventually the Jets gave him a massive deal, and that kind of changed the landscape of everything that these running backs are up against today, Paul.
That's right. There's just people don't think they have a lot of value. And Barkley, many people said this could be his final year with the Giants. You're right. You could throw Josh Jacobs in there as well, that he could hold out and miss games, and it's a big deal. And this the tweet storm got going yesterday when Matt Miller tweeted, I've been saying it for years, draft a running back, play the running back. If he's good, tag the running back one time, and then draft a running back. Henry went wild with that. Austin Eckler tweeted back the response as well. It's been a couple of years since we saw a running back at a long-term deal with at least $10 million per, which went to Chubb. So it's just how the organizations look at the running back now, and that it's okay, well, we're running into the ground for a couple of years, and then we'll just bring someone else in, and then you can go on your way. So if anything goes wrong with Jacobs, because the 3 guys behind him combined for 180 yards last year. So that could be a disaster this year for the Raiders. If he misses games and holds out, and if Barkley sits games out, I mean, number one, he could be done, and this could be his final year. Number two, missing games, and you can torpedo the season. And the same thing would happen if Garoppolo gets hurt or Jacobs missed time, and he led the league in rushing yards last year. It could be a 4-win, 5-win year for the Raiders.
I mean, the depth chart beyond Josh Jacobs, and he had the breakout career year, last year. We're talking about Zamir White, Amir Abdullah, Brandon Bolden.
Right
now for the Raiders. Yeah. How does that sound? Oh, boy, not great to me. And then when you flip it and you go over and look at the Giants' depth chart at the same time, I mean, let's be honest here. Barkley is the best offensive player for the Giants. And I get it where teams don't want to be hamstrung, so to speak, when they give too much money to this position, because that can come back and kill you in the end. But beyond Barkley, it goes Matt Breida, Eric Gray, Gary Brightwell. You think the Giants are going to do anything with those running backs at all, or any of those guys are capable of having impact years? I mean, Breida can be okay. He can be serviceable for probably, a couple of games, but for a full season, if Barkley were to sit out, come on, there's a big-time drop-off there. And it does stink what's happened to this position over time, but I also kind of understand why teams don't want to do this. And then you look at, you're up against it here. This tweet from ESPN Stats and Info, running backs given the franchise tag and not to receive the long-term deal in a tag year since it was introduced back in 1993. The 3 guys yesterday, Le'Veon Bell in 18 and 17, Darren Sproles in 09, Shawn Alexander in 05, and Edgerrin James in 05 as well. This is not going to change. It's not. As you said, Derrick Henry's response, just take the running back position out of the game then. The ones that want to be great and work hard, give all to their organization, just seems like it doesn't matter. And he's with every single, of course, he's going to be, with the players at that position, fighting for what they deserve. Eckler went scorched earth like you talked about as well. But I also do think that, and this discussion has been going on for many, many years. Like, what is a non-quarterback worth to a team? And maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it today. Maybe the better phrasing of that would be, is the team as good without him? Right? Like, are the Giants as good without Saquon Barkley?
Or is there a big drop-off?
Yeah.
You can look at that, too, because you got to spend a lot of money.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say the Giants are not as good offensively without him. The same thing can be said for the Raiders for sure. And then you look at, a laundry list of other running backs as well. Like, are the 49ers, I get it, they have Elijah Mitchell behind Christian McCaffrey, but are the 49ers as good this year without Christian McCaffrey on the team? I would say no chance.
That's a guy who I think deserves a lot of money because of what he means with the passing attack.
You're
too.
right.
You can use him so many different ways. And that's one thing with Le'Veon Bell. Why Le'Veon Bell, he thought deserved so much money because he had so many receptions with the Steelers. But The Jacobs thing is bizarre because it looked like they were going to move on from him. Remember, he started he was playing in the Hall of Fame game.
Right.
And it's like the guy's out there with the backups, and like, why are you even in the game?
He played a lot, by the way.
Yeah, so it was like the writing was on the wall, and then he surprised everybody with the monster season he has. So it does feel like we're headed toward a LeVeon Bell here, where these guys not going to sit the whole year out, but we're going to be missing some games here with one or two. Now Pollard already signed the tender, so he's good to go. But he's 26. Barkley is 26 and Jacobs is 25, and this is something Mike Pritchard always tells us about. But this is where you got to cash in now. This is your second deal.
Right.
This is because after this, who knows what's left. So you got to get paid here, and the last chance you probably get, that's the opportunity to get paid as an NFL running back. It feels like we're headed toward missed games here with both guys, though.
It is still a very important position to teams, though. It is.
I don't know about that.
See, because how many touches will a guy like Christian McCaffrey have this year? 350? A lot of the offense.
Yeah.
And I get it. They're not as, I'm not saying that they're as important as the quarterback, and not every player is cut from the same cloth, but again, here's the list that I came up with.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners are not as good without Christian McCaffrey. I don't think the Chargers are the same team without Austin Eckler and what he means running, but also more importantly, catching the football as well.
Yeah.
Look at what Derrick Henry has meant to the Titans team for his pretty much entire career.
That's a big one.
You're telling me that Henry, what was it, the pandemic year when he ran for 2,000 yards and in 20? What did he mean to that team? What was he worth? 3 points a game?
Yep.
I mean, he was the entire offense. He was awesome that year.
They also feed him. I mean, there's such a great emphasis on throwing the ball, though. I mean, you're a damn fool if you run it 1st and 10. When you look around the league and what Kansas City's done. Now, I think people are making a mistake bringing up Kansas City. Look at what they've done in the draft with the running back position, and look who they have for his wide receiver position. Well, you got Mahomes though, and you have Kelsey and a great offensive line. So
sure.
I mean, Miller brought that up too about his. Look what Kansas City does, but that's Kansas City, and you have one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Mm-hmm. What do you think Nick Chubb is worth to the Browns offense this year? There is no Kareem Hunt on this team, so the drop off goes from Nick Chubb to Jerome Ford, John Kelly, and Nate McCrary with the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Do you think he's worth anything to the team this year?
Yep.
Of course he is.
Yeah, it's a lot about all the carries and a guy breaking down, though, too. We had this exact discussion years ago on this network about Zeke Elliott. Remember when he wanted that money, but you saw Dak's numbers when Zeke was on the field and off the field. It was night and day. Right? And you said, hey, this guy maybe means something to the point spread.
Sure.
What he means to this offense, because Dak's numbers were atrocious when Zeke wasn't on the field. Well, now it was what are you doing? We got the guy Pollard should have been getting the carries the last couple of years and not this guy.
Mm-hmm. I'll bring up one other example here for a running back today, and that's Green Bay Packers running back Aaron Jones. Like overall, what is he going to be worth to the team? And this guy has had some exceptional years with this team scoring touchdowns in the running game and also catching the ball. I get it. They have A.J. Dillon behind him as well, who they drafted in the 2020 year right away in that draft. But without Aaron Rodgers now, and they're going to have to rely on Jordan Love as the quarterback, I think maybe Aaron Jones is a guy that you would say, yeah, without somebody like him, he means a lot to the offense, and he needs to be there and have a typical like Aaron Jones type year without Aaron Rodgers, because it is kind of unknown at this point what Jordan Love is going to be able to deliver. So it's not going to be every single. Do you think Jonathan Taylor means something to the Colts?
Yes,
I would absolutely say so. But it's correlated though, right? Because the Colts were a team that for many years we thought they had an elite offensive line, and they probably did. Yeah. And Jonathan Taylor 2 years ago, people were making the case for him to win the MVP, and then you saw what happened last year. He got hurt, but at the same time, the offensive line never performed.
Look what the Vikings just did. Dalvin Cook, I know he had injury problems,
right,
but every time he was in there, Dalvin Cook was a home run hitter and put up numbers every year. It's okay. We're done with you too. And now we still, maybe he goes to New England, but still, Dalvin Cook is still out there.
It's the shortest shot now on the board for him to go to New England. And New England's a team that has Ramondre Stevenson, who, I mean, if it was just him as the main running back, Stevenson could probably run for 1,500 yards and score a dozen touchdowns this year. And now, like you said, that has moved, and they could eventually land him as soon as today, maybe.
That's another example, how Belichick treated the position. I'll just put James White out there or some guys. But you had Tom Brady, though. I mean, one year they won the Super Bowl. Antoine Smith had like 600 yards.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.